Hey guys, before we get into today's episode, I'm going to take a minute to say thank you to the following individuals and creators who helped us put on Trainathon. During Trainathon, we were able to raise $1,025, and all that money is currently on its way to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. So, to this next group of people, thank you so much for giving your time and your effort and truly making this a successful event. Like, seriously, it went off as well as it did because of you guys' outreach and exposure to your communities, and I am genuinely thankful for your effort. In no particular order, Dennis Colucci from the N-Scale Train Boy, Bart Brinkman, Billy and Danny Brown of the Rail Brothers, Ian Miller, Sam Dickinson, the Cell Phone Rail Fan, Dylan Schultz of Santa Fe Models, Paul Stamp of Paul Stamp's Finger Lakes Railway and the Finger Lakes division of the NMRA, and Nick Raymer, also known as the Modern Modeler. Check out the video description of this on YouTube and the show notes at all our podcast locations to find the links to these people's social media to see what other things they're doing within the hobby. Again, guys, thank you so much. And with that, let's get to today's episode. The Switch.
We are podcasting.
We just bought probably about $200-$300 worth of track for the yard to my T-track layout, inspired by Paul Stamp trying to do his his ripping up of his yard. But it's like, I gotta get it done. That's probably gonna be the biggest piece. Granted, I'm also not really looking forward to buying the single switch overs or the I'm talking about, not the crossover. There's the word.
Just the not the double the double crossover, just the single, basically two switches back to back.
Yeah. But
typically what I have here and here.
I'm really, it has saved me because I am very tempted to buy there's a C&O U35 that has been calling my name for like 3 months, and I don't need it. I need track. And anyway, well, hello everybody, welcome to, I think this is episode 5. Is this episode 5?
I think so.
I can't count. Yeah, this is episode 5 of the Model Train People podcast. We are joined today by a couple people. Sam's with us from last time. He's just hanging out.
Hello. Now you can see my face.
There you go. You can see his face. But today's interview is gonna be our second person that we're bringing on. We've got Jeff Valentine. Jeff is a N-scale and O-scale model railroader out of Southern California. Primarily does what we'll say the 1970s Southern Pacific, Union Pacific, Burlington Northern, Santa Fe. If you've ever been to 29 Palms, his layouts definitely give that edge of the desert vibe, and it's actually incredibly well done. And then we also have one of our recent additions to our mod team, but he's been part of the server for going on about a year now. Bart Brinkman goes by Duck in the server, Dutch out of the Netherlands. And he does primarily a mix between HO, I would say like Dutch Railroad, Deutsche Bahn, and then right now you're working on a little bit of some US stuff. So, gentlemen, both of you, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
So we'll go ahead and Bart, since we'll get you out of the way, since every time we actually get somebody else on here. So Tay and Ray, when you guys eventually show up, we'll do the same thing here, but get you a little bit of introduction. So Bart, tell us about yourself, man. Where are you from? What do you model, and what are you working on?
Yeah, hey, I'm from the Netherlands. I've been born here. Still live in my hometown, Alkmaar, very close to Amsterdam. I work in Amsterdam, by the way, as a software developer. And I've been always having like circles around the house when I was young.
Nice.
Mostly Märklin, because that's common here. So that's the German brand. And they've been having hard times and everything, but they still do a lot of cool stuff. So I have that mostly on the side, also because they're quite innovative lately, because they kind of had to. And yeah, because of the space constraints in this house, I opted for N scale, and I don't know if it had to do with the server or with the games I've been playing. You know, I play a lot of train simulators. I got definitely drawn to use material. It just looks so cool. So a lot of Union Pacific. I don't know. It's a signal color maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what do you
amazing
got
stuff.
working? So is this your yard behind you? So what's your layout that you got set up back here?
Yeah, so basically, I started just putting yeah sheets of wood against the walls here. This is my office also. I work from home most of the time, and yeah, a few weeks ago, or it's already been a few months actually. I started adding a bridge. So I can also go circular, and behind me is the yard, basically the switching yard. And across the layout, I didn't pin the track down because I'd like to change the layout quite a lot. But I've been sprinkling industries, and yeah, that's what I do most of the time, just operations.
Nice. And I know
Nice.
before we got on here, I know we've seen it before. Had provided us one of your videos we put on our TikTok, but going through your automations. I think is it the same layout or was that because I feel like you were doing something different because I know all your switches were automated with Miracle stuff, and that was like really
Yeah,
impressive seeing that like basically on an iPad or just a small little tablet, able to select different switches and do that remotely.
yeah, I put a lot of time into building a Mechlin layout, which is basically, I guess it's the European style. You know, you
Yeah.
stack a bunch of circles on top of each other and try to go between the levels. A lot of tunnels, a lot of mountains. So I started working on that, and the first part was, of course, getting the automation done. So that was successful. And then I noticed it was just a little bit too big for this room. So. And then the worst part is I found some oxidation below the track. I used the wrong flux or something,
No.
so it started to, yeah, really burn up some of the tracks. And before it started failing, I was like, okay, I need to figure out what to do. So I took it apart, and I was like, okay, I really need to start smaller. So that's how N scale. I already had some N scale, some cute German locomotives, but yeah, that's how I got onto this version of the N scale layout. And it's been way better. And I've started automation as well. It's a little bit more, yeah, it's a more fiddly process because Märklin it's so easy to get everything connected and organized. And yeah, it's a bit more of a challenge, but we're getting there.
Nice. Well, welcome to the cult of N-Scale, since I think everybody on
Yeah,
this call right now is
fair enough.
primarily N-Scalers. So, well, cool, man. And then just for note to Bart is responsible for our graphics, and then he eventually we have plans at some point in the next year or two to set up a website. So he'll definitely be part of that process. But I'm glad to have you on this, and super excited to see what happens with the rest of your layout because I know I'm super interested in the if you can do a mix between like German European style mixed in with like American, that'd be kind of cool. It'd be different.
It is different for
Yeah.
sure because I have the length now, so I can actually put these long consists going. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But welcome. But all right, shifting over now that that's out of the way, off to the main event, if you will. So El Jefe in scale, also known as Pro Pinata Slayer in our Discord chat, Jeff Valentine. So Jeff, welcome, sir. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great today. Yep.
And
Feeling
I
good
love,
after the train show yesterday, and so I'm full throttle with the trainage at this time.
Good
hell
stuff.
yeah. And the surf liner going on in the background looks amazing. Is that was an acquisition you got yesterday? Yeah.
Yes. Picked it up at the show. I had one on pre-order at my local train store, but it seems like the release has been staggered a little bit for some people. So I didn't want to hold out anymore. I just picked it up when I saw it at the show yesterday. You know, so canceled my pre-order with my local train store, and so I'm in business with that. It's kind of my penultimate, the consist I've been wanting for, about a year and a half. I got into the hobby 2 years ago,
Okay.
and what got me back into it was I always have to have some sort of a manual techie hobby. I used to do
Yeah.
radio control aircraft, but that got kind of killed here in Southern California with just the way things, the trends and everything.
Yeah.
And so I just have very far. I grew up in the late 70s, 80s. You know, I'm 51 years old, and so I wanted to get back to the roots of what I loved the most when I was a kid, which is trains. You know, I grew up on
Yeah.
HO Tyco and stuff like that, and obviously I'm space constrained, so I brainstormed ways that I could do this. I mean, this room is small; it's only 10 by 12, and you can say I got a bed in here. There's a computer situation over here, and so on. So I just figured out a way how to get the most end scale into this room because I'm not permitted to expand into any other parts of the house with this.
Your chief
So
financial
I
officer has decreed.
yeah, yeah. So I pulled it off. You know, there's smaller layouts. The one you see in the background here is only 6 feet long by I believe 30 inches wide. But
That's not anything to shake at though in N scale. Like, look, speaking of
Good
somebody
bit.
that like I have a 2x4 sitting back here, that is a good size for like for the concepts that you're running on that. Because what, like that's roughly what's the public math there for HO? That would be what a 3x6 equates to a
it would be
six
double.
by yeah 6x12.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Nothing. That's
So
nothing to scoff at.
yeah, my only constraints is I'm with all my layouts, I'm not, I do some basic operations like on this one, I have a little angle nook switching and
Hmm.
inverse roundabout up there and stuff like that. But it's mostly all about the roundy round in this house, you know. So I just be satisfied with that. Sometimes I just like looking, kicking back, looking at the scenery and just watching things go, you know.
Yeah.
No.
I'm sure if I had more space and if I could do a circuit around a room or something, I would be more into operations. But this is what I have to work with. And this part of the conversation kind of goes into why I stick with DC. I don't know if you want me to touch on that at this point,
We'll get
but
into that very shortly.
yeah,
I've been like, no, I completely respect the roundy round, just rail fanning your own stuff. Cause like, dude, watching the Surfliner go through, like that looks really nice. And I know that you were asking in the server for some ideas on like what you were going to do with the corner that I don't think is currently like it's off scene here. But like,
yeah,
there's like, before when I almost got back in the hobby like 10 years ago, 10, geez, 11 years now. There was like a video and it's gone because it got copyright stricken because of the music it had on it. But like it was just train in a loop. And I was just like, man, you know what? I'm gonna watch like nothing else going on. I want something mind numbing and that isn't, the chaos of a lot of the things that are on social media or YouTube. Just watch that and it's very peaceful. Like working with your hands and things like that. So like it's no, totally understand that. But you have a couple different layouts. I know you have this one and that fits in a closet, right? And then or it goes up against a wall, and then you have another one that's under the bed. And I know
I
that
have three,
okay.
uh, three layouts. This one, and then a 4 foot by 30, which is under the bed right now on caster wheels,
Hmm.
and then I have a 2 by 2 Southwest Desert. I have while she's out of the country right now, set up in the dining room area over there.
Yeah.
Um, and so I designed everything with this wooden L frame, simple pine L frame or U frame, I mean, on the bed. It removes everything, stores in the closet, so I can make all of this go away and make it look like there's no trains in the house at all, you know, when I'm not using anything. So,
Pretty impressive.
yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I know you kind of touched on it, but you said as a kid growing up, Tycho was your first like what when did you go away from the hobby and then like what was it over the like you said 2 years ago and like in your progress in 2 years like dude it looks like you've been doing this for like 5 or 6 and it's like watching some of your different videos and stuff and kind of seeing like your Percy by the way the murder of Percy the tank engine was
Not the murder,
he
sacrifice.
Yeah.
sacrifice, you're right, is peak and amazing and
Vivisection of Percy. Yeah.
but like what it's like what clicked for you to come back to doing this?
I don't know. I've never been creative. I've never done any type of actual modeling in my life. And so it just, the awe of trains and wanting to reproduce, just like we all do in the hobby, we all want to reproduce our local scenery and, road names and all that kind of thing going on. And it just, it just hit me. And I don't know, it just started flowing. I'm just going to do it to it. And things just started falling into place. And I just did what most people do. I just inundated myself with all the information I could absorb on the internet and YouTube and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
I just went from there. My
Brain bug.
first, I bought 2 years ago, I bought a Kato, the M1 basic oval set, and I used Union Pacific SD40, and that was how I started a couple of years ago.
Train
Auto
bug
is so
bit and
great.
it bit hard.
You know, and I just the memories of Tycho HO just really, the flame never died in me with that.
Yeah.
So I had, we did little Tycho layouts on the floor, as much track as we could, but it came to the point where you're getting into your preteens, things change, moves happen and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, and everything ends up in a box and forgotten or ruined by a mud flow coming into a basement or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like I went to, my mom lived in Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, and back in 2000, right before she passed, we went to a last Christmas with her, and I'm like, Mom, what happened to all my train stuff, my Tycho stuff? And she's like, oh, it's down in the basement. But they had a wall cave in and a mud flow come in. So I went down the basement, went to check it out. It was also caked up. I couldn't salvage anything,
Yeah.
but I never forgot those memories of how much I enjoyed it at the time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get back into it on a grown-up level, and so here I am.
Oh yeah. A very, very we'll say a California problem though from the mudslides. Like, yeah, a lot like, unfortunate. I know that kind of like with all like even like last year with all the shoot, what is it? The rain systems that were just inundated and then you just yeah,
The
very
atmospheric rivers.
yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And then were you impacted at all by any of the fires and stuff?
No, not at all. Just I have a thing about keeping my floors clean, and I don't like tracking stuff in from the yards and stuff. So the only thing that got me was all the ash fallout. There was a lot of ash
Oh,
fallout,
yeah, I'm sure.
and so the sky turned orange, with all the detritus in the air and everything for a few weeks, but then it eventually cleared up. But just dealing with the ash. But no,
Yeah.
we're a little bit too far away, but you could definitely see it. I drive for public transit, so you could when I'm going around Orange County, it was extremely noticeable where it was coming from, up north of me there. I'm about LAX is maybe a 35-40 minute drive for me.
Okay.
So it wasn't too far away. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Shoot, there's like a model railroading museum that got like taken out, right? Like, I feel like there's something that like within the community that got hit pretty hard.
Like it
No,
was someone's
I'm only
personal
aware of
model
There
railroad,
we go. Yeah.
someone's personal whole collection, like thousands and
oh
thousands of dollar collection got taken
yeah.
out, and so I know some people in the NMRA were getting together to fundraise to help them try and recover at least some of the costs of it, if not the actual pieces of the collection.
Yeah. Fun times. Not really, but yeah. Well,
On to happier
on to
topics.
happier things. So, Jeff, one of the big draws, like from your channel, from what you have, you are probably one of the most dedicated DC modelers that, in my very limited experience with people on YouTube and stuff that I've come across. Like, I know you have a DC sound system that kind of lives underneath the layout, and a lot of like even looking at what you have, like all the switches and stuff. Like, what like can you go into your setup? Like, tell us what you got.
Sure. Um, Well, in the background here, let me get my chair out of the way. I'm going to lift up the camera
Yeah.
so you can see all this. So on that nightstand there, I have a couple transformers, my Kato sound box, and on the left plugged into the sound box is the smart device controller. And my switch is up here. Basically, it's all designed so if I change layouts, like for example, if I set up the 4-footer instead of this one,
Mhm.
it's all kind of plug and play. Nothing over there gets moved. So it's all plug and play depending on what layout I want to use. And you can see underneath the bed here, I have the wiring kind of just hangs off the boards, and I just plug things in as needed depending on what layout I have set up.
Yeah, not bad.
And so I'm sure you know from knowing me and my videos and stuff, I have the sound box wired up to the docked laptop here.
Hmm.
And so that's does that answer that question? Like basically,
Absolutely, it
For-
does. Yeah.
For the
that's
benefit
the
of our
gist of
listeners,
how I have everything. And so, for example, the 4-foot layout, the elevation of the mountain is too tall to fit underneath the bed. So if I open up the closet here, I don't know if you can see this, but there's the top of the mountain sitting up on the shelf there. You see
Oh,
that?
cool.
there
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
is.
so I just modular style just plug that mountain into the layout when I set that one up.
Yeah.
And then the 6-foot layout splits down the middle. It's
Okay.
split in half longitudinally. And I have when I designed it, basically, I don't know, sorry about the camera
No, you're
manipulation
fine.
here,
You're
but
You're
fine.
you
fine.
can see these this wood stock here. I believe these
Mhm.
are 1x2s
They
or
look like one by
I,
twos.
I don't know
Yeah.
what they are. Yeah, something like that. So I put those. This is not plywood. These are they call them craft boards. I got from Lowe's, and so I put those on to eliminate any bowing or flexing
Hmm.
of the wood stock there, and so I can put this whole thing away in about 5 minutes after I take the rolling stock off. So these split down the middle, and one half goes on, leans up against the wall on this side of the closet, and then the other back half of the layout leans up against that wall right there.
Nice.
So that's how I handle that.
And for the benefit of people who are just listening and not watching on YouTube, the boxes and stuff that he was talking about, he has the Kato sound box, which has different sound cards that you plug in to allow you to get sound on DC only operation. And I believe you also have the Wi-Fi box as well, right? To allow you to
Yeah,
wirelessly control the
the
setup.
the smart device controller. So
That's it.
you can see it's kind of like a a half-ass faux DC hand-free walk-around situation to where you can see I can speed
Yep.
the train up and bring it around here. So I can do everything pretty much hands off without having to be at the mercy of standing next to a power pack or a transformer.
Very
And
nice.
I'm sure you guys know you
And
can control all the sounds from the sound box through this and everything. It really opens up the capabilities of the Kato sound box. And yeah, so that's that.
yeah.
And otherwise, I have my switches up here, and there you go.
Man, I don't know
Didn't you
why.
get your? Oh, sorry,
Sorry,
go
go
ahead,
for it.
Eddie.
No, Sam, go for it.
I was all right. I was gonna say, didn't you get the sound box hooked up to some sort of surround sound system?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Um, Let me bring her back around here, and you've seen my vids, right? You've heard it, right?
Oh yeah, oh
Okay,
yeah,
so
definitely.
just by here's the little remote to my computer audio system. So if I just turn that on, and I can start up the locomotive, the sound just like this. It never gets old for me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think we can really hear it on this
Let me
end,
turn that
but
off. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the automatic
So
sound
that's that.
suppression is working on your phone too well, and we can't hear the
Yeah.
sound of this train, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
But
But
go check out his videos because it's pretty sweet.
oh yeah, yeah. I didn't even realize that you had. I know I've seen it. I just I just didn't click. But like basically, it's to convert it into DCC speak for a minute. Like it's like a DCC EX setup on your phone, like or a Y throttle that I did not realize existed for DC. And like I don't know, like had I known about that like a year ago and I started getting back into the hobby, I maybe I would have had more of a DC setup. But that's actually kind of that's so cool that it's actually a Wi-Fi DC setup.
Yeah, yeah. Something else I discovered today I didn't know about was I'm using an old phone for this because I'm using my current phone for our video here.
Right.
But you can instead of using the throttle slider here, you can use the volume buttons on the side of the phone for throttle.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's something
Oh,
I
that's pretty
discovered today I
sweet.
didn't know
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure
So
from a price point perspective, and I know kind of going into the DC versus DCC, this is definitely something that like if you are trying to get into the hobby and budget is a consideration for you, which it is for all of us, right? Um, Definitely a bar to entry with some really cool tech associated with it.
mhm.
So
So
Yeah,
is this the
Colorado really nailed it.
is this the Kato ecosystem as well, the wireless one?
Yes, it is. Uh-huh.
Oh, that's very
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
they basically have taken N scale to the nth level. Sure, they've resisted going DCC as strongly as possible as far as the systems they have going on, which is understandable because where they're Japanese origins, that's why N scale is so popular there. And so that in the future here in the podcast, when we go into the whys of DCC, that might be possibly why they've kind of taken it to the level they have, sticking with DC, is because DCC, um, in my case, doesn't make a lot of sense for smaller layouts.
yeah, and I this is the moment where I wish Matt was on here tonight, just because with the Takachi Sin what he's working on, like we've talked a lot that he runs purely like Kato and Tomic's Japanese, immediate post-war Steam era kind of stuff, and it's so small that like trying to get a decoder into a lot of those things is just not practical. So it makes sense. So from what Kato is putting out, that makes a lot of sense. And well, I guess hey, we'll take the segue here. So all right, so talk to us. Like what I guess what led you to choose to do, just a go purely DC and invest as heavily as you have?
Mhm. Okay. Basically, because of the prohibitive costs of building up uh, a livery of locomotives and everything for me.
Yeah,
We all know what DCC costs, how much, it's basically $100 locomotive versus a to
200
three
to
hundred dollar
300.
locomotive. And I wanted to get as much stuff as possible as quick as I could. And things kind of went from there to where I went over the teeter totter as far as the amount of locomotives I have back in my case here. I started realizing it's just going to become financially infeasible for me to start converting and stuff like that. And also the smaller layouts, with a lot of roundy round going on, and being that I
Mm,
don't have as far as the track circuit space goes, I don't have the capability of running multiple trains at one time. On the layout under the bed, the 4-footer, I can do 3 trains at one time, but on this layout, I can only do one train at a time and maybe screw around with an ingle nook at the same time with another one. But I just don't really have that multiple train operation need.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that kind of DCC
What? What?
sound is a big thing. And from what I've heard in person, DCC sound, it's
Are you guys there? Is this seriously doing this to me again? Like I'm like hardwired in. This is where I take a moment to scream expletives at Xfinity. You guys there? I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I wow, this thing is like hard, like breaking on me.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I'm like hardwired in. I don't know if you guys could hear me or not, but like
We
Oh, it's
I
got you.
perfect.
We
I
got
hear
you.
you.
Perfect.
okay.
It only
Wow.
sounded like it stopped for a second because it was
Yeah, it
going and
did.
then it said recording stopped and immediately recording started again. So I don't know how much we actually lost.
We lost probably like 30 seconds. Like everybody
Oh.
froze, and I was just like, it's like I am hard in. The gremlins in Xfinity in this house. I don't know. It's not windy. Like, all
Those
right,
darn
yeah.
wireless gremlins.
I
Oh my
just saw like a
God.
2-second interruption, and that's it. That's all I saw.
Perfect.
Yeah.
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 No, this house. I love this house, but there's every once in a while it has some infrastructure issues, and like, not to get us completely derailed here, but about 4 or 5 months ago, like we had like an 18-wheeler come through our street, and they ripped the they hit our wire and took it out. And so we
Oh.
basically went like 2 or 3 days without internet as like Xfinity was trying to like figure out how to get their stuff out here to rehook it
Yeesh.
up. And the guy's like, "Yeah, sorry, I don't know what to do." It's just like, bro, like you have the stick. I know you have the stick. You have to do the stick to see like. It's like anyway.
Either that or you, as a professional semi-truck driver right here and logistics manager, you're supposed to be using the truck GPS, not Google GPS. Google is designed for your tiny smart car, not your giant 18-wheeler.
Hmm.
Anyways, back to Jeff. I'm so
Back to
sorry.
sound.
Oh, no,
I
no
think
problem.
yeah. I think where I lost you was you were just yeah
I was
talking
talking
again about
for
like how prohibitively expensive it is. You're trying to get this. You have the roundy round, and that's where I'm pretty sure I lost you.
Yeah, it was around the part where he went to the train store and got
Okay.
talked out of uh,
Yeah.
sound.
So
Yeah.
my local train store person was just give me fair warning about how prohibitive sometimes on a large handful of locomotives sound is as far as speaker accommodation, stuff like that. And then I don't know. I just the reliability I have. I feel that my layouts, my DC operation is less susceptible to dirty track and track defects. Like from what I've seen, DC, if you have any sort of track continuity issues, you're just at a dead stop. When you're with DC, you can kind of glide through it more without interruption. Or I'm not exactly sure how DCC works with the decoder operation and everything, but you get interruptions and sound or whatever parameters you had set on your. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about with that, but
You're pretty close on like there's
okay.
yeah there's like one or
Thank you.
two dead
Thank you.
spots on my like you have to go over it a couple times. Granted, my Bachmann Jeep 40-2 for whatever reason will like that thing like dirtiest track and it's shocked from a Bachmann like it don't matter how like it just I could have like a pile of like inch of dirt on that thing, not really, but and it's gonna go through it. It's gonna be there's no keep alive on it. Which is impressive. And I know, Dennis, you have one or two spots on your switching
Oh,
layout.
I have a
I
couple,
mean
and
that was kind of that I mean that was kind of a lame point I just made with that. I'm just reaching, you know what I mean?
No, no,
But
but no, you're
I
not.
think it's a
my big
valid
thing
point.
my big thing is that in my case here I have 20 plus locomotives now, and I'm just thinking if I had to go retro, if I did go DCC, I would have to spend uh, 1,500 or who knows how many
Hmm.
dollars
To
to
upgrade
Yeah.
start
everything.
converting things, and
Yeah.
it's just too much to handle. So
Just out of
I'm
curiosity, what?
satisfied with. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Out of curiosity, like, what percentage of your fleet is actual Kato versus like Atlas or
Life like Bachman.
yeah?
One, two,
So you run a lot of Kato.
four. I have uh I have like 60% Kato.
Okay, yeah, and that's something
60%
else too.
Kato.
Like, there are a Swiss Army knife. Like
Yeah.
their quality, they're gonna run. So if you're looking to, you know, maximize your efficiency, not only from price, but then also like with the type of stuff that you're putting on your layout, it's gonna work, and you know it's gonna work, and that's a big thing. So no, it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense for like for what you're trying to do. And I know part of that too is like where I know you've discussed in the past of like you'll every once in a while, which is silly, right? But it's just the rivet counters and different thing. Like it's like, well, why would you do that? Why would you do DC only? And it's just like,
There's
well,
valid reasons.
yeah, 100% valid reasons. And Jeff's like kind of going over them. You know, you're listing them off right now.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
but back what you said a second ago about just the reliability of Kato and everything is in the back of my mind, being that I bought the Surfliner from a train show, I don't have any recourse with the seller or anything like that, and it's a brand new production model hot off the presses. I was thinking in the back of my mind, oh man, what if there's some sort of a defect or something, you know? But it was an unnecessary thought because this thing runs perfecto, you know,
Yeah,
brand new. I mean, it's only been out a week or two. And so, as far as going with Kato, you don't have to worry about early production, working the kinks out type of things, you know, with Kato. So, yep, Kato is solid.
yeah. So how was that train show?
It was, I was elated. I
Was that your
loved it.
first one? Was that the first one you've been to?
It was the first one I've been to, and I'd have to say, from what I've seen on social media and some of you guys talking and stuff, it seemed to be one of the bigger gigs out there. You know, it was huge. It really it was very crowded. The layouts, they had two huge hangar about the size of a small airplane hangar, two buildings. One building was all vendors and merchandising, and the other building was layouts.
Oh wow.
And I really wanted to do some filming for my channel, but there was too many people. The layouts were shoulder to shoulder, and it was really active. A lot of energy there.
Yeah, just
Um,
for the record, where
as
did you what show was it?
the Great
Okay.
Train Show, I
Yeah.
believe it goes across the
Yep.
country, and the particular version that hit us was included the what was it called, World's
World's
Greatest
greatest
Hobby,
hobby.
which
Yep.
I think kind of amps it up a little bit. Um, And so, as far as the vendors go, there was three that were really strong in N scale. Um, of course, HO is always predominant, but the pricing and everything, I looked through everything. G scale was surprisingly strong. They had a lot of G scale there. Um, but looking through the pricing of everything, it was mostly standard eBay pricing. You didn't get a whole lot of deals. I got kind of a deal on this one because they weren't charging tax, you know, and
Yeah.
but the price tag said 206 on it, but he's all, just give me 200 and we're clear, you know.
There you go.
And so I did overlook some other transactions with folks where they were getting some slight discounts, like maybe 15% off or something if they bought like three different items or locomotives at once, but not a whole lot of deals. And
You had a conversation with Lionel's rep, right?
yes, yeah,
Talking about deals.
I saw them. They had their situation there, and I'm a pretty cut and dry type of person. I just had to hit the tough question of, is, I'm sure Lionel's aware. He said he was the GM, the West Coast GM.
Okay.
Forgot his name. But that's a tough question. Of course, real Lionel has to realize that their entry level Lion Sheep kits are pricing out a lot of people who would like to get in the hobby and stuff. And he said I apologize for asking the question, but he's, oh no, it's okay. And this is what we got going on. That's why we just came out with our new battery powered line, you know, to bridge that, and then I kind of kept pressing the point, and he said, "Yeah, we understand that. We are getting some feedback with the new 2025 catalog, and we're hoping to change that in the future."
It's good.
So, um,
Hopefully progress.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's wild to me. Like,
I didn't want to hit him. I didn't want to hit him too hard, but I'm pretty sure he was picking up what I was dropping down. So.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I know when we were talking, the verbiage you said that you use was like it's a family decision when someone brings a
Yeah,
much
yeah.
like
He
a
said
puppy or
yeah,
a
we were
or a
talking about a
child.
basic line cheap set that cost $400 or something. He was all, that's why it becomes a family decision to get into one of our sets. I was like, that's a good way to put it, I guess. It's
Yeah,
pretty smooth, pretty
but
smooth. So
yeah, I mean, like, it's
But
like
then at that point, it kind of makes it sound like, oh, well, if you can't afford our trains, you shouldn't buy them. Because
yeah,
when he uses that phrase, a family decision, that's like, okay, well, so do you want us to buy your products or no?
but here's the thing,
yeah,
people are still gonna buy it though. Like, I have a friend who Ferret in the server, like he and I were talking, he bought like our special edition ET44, and I think it was an ET44, and it was like, he's like, yeah, I got this for like $1,600, and it's just like, what? Like, granted, my higher element, I've got the Atlas's Berkshire Kanawha on pre-order, and that's probably gonna be the most expensive locomotive that I buy, and that's $300 to $400 right there for DCC and sound. But like, man, it is a decision, if a locomotive is sitting somewhere, north of $200, like, man, I really need to justify like doing that. So I just can't imagine, but people do. Like, people like Lionel is such a collector's item. Um th- even out here, like a lot of the stores out Dennis, I don't know what your experience is, but at least most of the train stores around here, like, it is primarily Lionel because they know that that's what people will buy. And people buy that stuff in droves, regardless of the price point.
I
And
think as far as the train store thing goes too, not only is that what a lot of people do end up buying, but they only have to make a few sales to, expense that, fill their expense of doing business because those prices are so high.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's something I also tried to touch bases with him on yesterday, was basically the between the different lines, everything from their battery power Lion Chief all the way up to Legacy and Vision line, that the folks they're targeting, basically it's the boomers, who can afford the Vision line stuff and the Legacy stuff and all that.
Yeah.
And it's a dark subject, but we're start those people are starting to fall off, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
The boomers are only going to last so long, the people with that kind of money.
Yeah.
And so it's all about, yeah, I mean, at the show yesterday, it was extremely apparent with the crowds that the hobby is thriving in all
Yes.
scales. It was just full throttle yesterday, and so there's a lot of potential to get new, fresh people into the hobby. And so I think, because back to the boomer thing, their model, their pricing model, and the age groups and uh, income groups they're targeting, I don't think it's sustainable. So they either know it's not sustainable, so they're trying to make the biggest grab they can right now. Um, if that's not the case, then it would make more sense to lower some of the price points to just get more people to grab things like Lion Chief sets and stuff, to get into
Hmm.
it. Like
Yeah.
the Lion Chief sets average around $400. The ones I have, I sniped off Amazon sales for like 230 and so on. So there's definitely some they have some room for some give where they can lower stuff, you know. And
That's yeah. That said, um, we I think the challenge with Lionel, obviously their price in the modern era, but like, I've seen things. I feel like I was trying to find it, and I can't, like, whatever their listed price was in like 1950, 1960 is relatively on pace for inflation at modern day. They were expensive back then.
You're right
There's,
about that. Yes,
yeah.
you are correct. I calculated. I saw some YouTube video a couple weeks ago, and I did the math on how much was this amount of money worth back in 1953. And yes,
Hmm.
that is a good point. They aren't
Yeah.
too far off. So
But
I don't know. It's just frustrating when you see the dollar amounts we're dealing with these days, and you're just like, what in the wide world of sports? It's so expensive. But I guess I don't know.
Bart, how's Maryland?
Money flowed more easily back then. It was more obtainable. I don't know. And
Yeah.
that's something else I brought up to the Lionel GM rep yesterday was, hey, I don't make over 60 grand a year, and I can barely afford one of your line chief sets.
Yeah.
So that's that.
We need the dollar menu for the Lionel dollar menu. Give me give me the chicken fingers that they just announced that are coming, that McDonald's said they're coming back. Appease the proletariat. We're here. We want to buy your stuff. It's just too expensive.
Give me the Lionel Wendy's biggie bag.
Is that any good? Have you gotten that?
You get a burger and
Yeah.
a set of nuggets.
Well, that's when we just need to. That's when we just need to go in and restart something like K-Line and just make sure we're not plagiarizing off of Lionel that time. I mean, we've got the 3D printing capabilities now, so making it here is cheaper than ever.
Yeah. Just get an army of resin printers in your basement.
Yep. And then take on the market yourself.
Yeah, but then that's when you get, it's like the scene out of Breaking Bad where, he goes to go help. He's like, "You're doing it wrong, like you want to buy this," and the guy kind of runs off, and he goes back and finds them in the parking lot and tells them like, "Stay off my territory." And then you end up like, it turns into like the Sopranos of train deals, and all of a sudden somebody gets assassinated in Train World.
Yeah, in Train World.
That's why if I do pick up any more O-Gauge stuff, that's why I'm sticking with MTH from now on.
Oh, nice. Okay.
To get more for the money.
Yeah.
So
fun times.
Yeah, my club was doing a thing recently where we're trying to help find ways to get more people and younger people into the hobby. And this year, over the next of our 4 shows, we're going to be doing an entry where people get to put in a ticket, and at the end of the year, at our last show, we're going to do a drawing, and whoever gets that, they get a free starter set. We've got the Walthers CSX set to start up for
That's not
that.
bad.
Yeah.
And we were talking about if this is such a success, what do we want to do in the future? And I had mentioned the idea of, well, why not just get one of the Menards sets? Because they still have their O-Gauge crates.
Hold on. Menards is in like,
as in the store.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like save big money at Menards. They do trains.
Yeah.
Yes,
wow.
They have their own line of O-scale 3-rail trains for Menards. They just came out with their own set of F7 locomotives. They've got Union Pacific, Santa Fe in a couple colors, CNW, Milwaukee Road, and a couple others.
And then
I remember hearing somewhere you could, yeah. I remember hearing somewhere you could go to Menards and get everything that you need for a starter layout, from a 4x8 sheet of plywood to the train set itself.
That's
there you go. That's true.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna have that stupid jingle stuck in my head the rest of the night. So thanks.
We don't have brick and mortar Menard stores out here. Do you guys have Menard stores?
Not on the East Coast.
No, that's very much.
I do.
And Bart probably has no
have
idea
one
what
in
we're talking
mind.
about
They're more Midwest, but I mean, I saw a set there. It came with a locomotive, 2 freight cars, the remote control for it, because it has all the sound and everything. It's just like your standard Lionel locomotive, where it has all the sounds and lights and features and everything. And
they're basically Lion Chief style. It's basically a Lion Chief remote and the 18-volt, wall board. It's
right.
Lion
And
Chief.
the And the price tag on that on the shelf right now, I can go to my local Menards and buy one of those sets for $250.
Yep.
And I asked I brought that up. It's like, well, is there a way we could go and get the Menards one? They're like, no. And I'm like, what? And they're like, that, do you know how poor quality that is? And I'm like, no, I've never gotten one yet. And it's like, is it really that poor quality? I've heard nothing but positive things about it because of the value. And it's like, if you guys say it's that poor quality because of the price, well, newsflash, you can't expect the high-end Lionel stuff for the price of $250. This is the entry level stuff, the beginner stuff. It's designed to break. It's designed to have some issues to kind of like, it's the beginner stuff. It gets you into it. And then as you're learning and like, hey, I want to do more of this, then you learn like, okay, so this is how we can expand it. There are these other products out there. They have these railroad names that we like. I'm going to go get those. It's like, it's not, we're doing this as a starter project thing. It's not like we're trying to give someone a whole layout that's completed. It's something to get them started. They use their imagination and their artwork skills to build something out of that. And we just give them the nudge into the door to help them go off. And with like something like that Menard set, I don't think that the quality matters at that point.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
even the Walther set that we're gonna be getting ready to give away, even that one, that's like the low end of anything. I know there's some arguments between Bachman and Walters, like who's the cheapest of them all, but it's like, to me, it's like, it doesn't matter. We're using the starter sets. That should be proof enough of what we're doing.
so it's
Yeah.
kind of funny you talk about you get what you pay for. Carlo Mastrossi, he does Allegheny Northern and N Scale on YouTube, and he just did a comparison of like he did a thing where it was like, hey, what you know what brand gives you the most problems, and like stacking up BLI versus Scale Trains versus Atlas and Bachman, and it's like, you know what, people like to poo poo on Bachman a lot, just based off of like the old track, like the old gearing and things from like, I didn't realize that you could buy Bachman at KB Toys. Like, I'm kind of, man, I want to go back in time and talk to my parents about like, yo, like, why weren't we hitting this stuff up in the mall? But like, I think it's again the rivet counters and stuff, and the same thing that Jeff you've run into with like, oh, well, why are you just doing DC? Is the it's not about if you go in with like your perspective of like where you've been sitting in the hobby for like 10 or 20 years and you have an expectation because you know what you're looking for and you have a set of standards that have grown in time with what you're doing in the hobby, then yeah, of course the Bachman, starter stuff isn't going to be what you want. Like I have a super chief freaking Bachman, sitting in the back that I bought like last year just to see the like, okay, cool, this is great, which was great for me at that point. How many other people, like, especially if they're young kids, like that's fine. You don't, that's like, we don't have Tyco anymore. We don't have, Lifelike or whatever the different brands were that we were all
HM and
exactly exposed to. Like Menards does something like $200, like as a parent, like yeah, if I have a child who's old enough to, like, all right, let's take you to Menards, let's go get the train set and like teach you how to woodwork and stuff. Like that's something that's kind of cool. Like there's pieces that are associated with that are more of the intrinsic value than just the dollar and the quality of what it is. Cool. You know what? You have the money and you know what you're looking for and like a Scale Trains rivet counter and you want to throw $300 down on a HO with sound and DCC. Great. Go do that. But for somebody else, like, look, $200 for 3 cars and a loop of track, and maybe you throw in some lumber and you do your little pine wood, Palisades or whatever it is. Like, hey, that's great.
I mean, heck, for me, it's like,
long story short, we all start somewhere. So
Exactly.
if
yeah,
you
exactly.
before you go and go, oh well, your train looks like terrible and it's all undetailed and stuff. think about where they are in the hobby and where they are, and think about where you were at when you were at that point in the hobby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as we're talking about
Speaking
stuff, I
of,
know like this is why I think InScale is such a great starting point, just because one the price point, and then two, like it's so compact. You have people like Sean Dyke doing the starter T-Track like kits going out. Like you get like six modules, and it's just nothing but like, like like a little bit of plywood that's 3D cut, and you just need some, wood glue. Yeah, that's a good start. But anyway, I digress on that.
speaking of entry level brand new stuff, we were talking about the Menards and all that. Walthers, I just pulled something up on Amazon here real quick. I wish, they dominate in their HO stuff. For DC guys like me, I wish they did the train line stuff in N,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, look at this. You can find, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but train line entry level locomotives for 83, $75 brand new all day long. That's
Yeah.
great.
Mm-hmm.
That's like
Yeah.
Atlas
I
and
wish,
their
I wish they did that for N scale. Yeah, their Atlas,
Train Man.
the Train Man. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Train Man stuff. Hmm.
Yeah.
So with
Bart,
the Trainman stuff, I'm actually kind of afraid to buy another Atlas Trainman locomotive from my Kato Soundbox point of view, because out
oh
of
yeah,
all the
because you don't have the
locomotives I
capability.
have, what's that?
Because I guess they wouldn't. Is it a like a compatibility thing?
I got a the Trainman GP15 when it first came out. That was like maybe 5 months ago, 6 months
Yeah.
ago, and it was the only DC locomotive in my arsenal where, when I had it hooked up to the soundbox has its own power supply transformer. So the power to the track is actually like, let's say you were using a conventional transformer hooked up to your soundbox.
Mm-hmm.
The voltage to the track isn't coming from your transformer; it's coming from the soundbox. The soundbox simply translates the voltage throttle curve coming from the transformer. So, anyways, with this particular Trainman GP15, as soon as I would give it power, the soundbox would go into protection mode. And I was thinking,
Interesting.
what is going on here? And I'm looking at the construct of the architecture of the chassis. It's a split frame, and it's the only locomotive that I have where the fuel tank on the bottom was part of the split frame chassis. It wasn't a little plastic piece that stuck on.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, does it have to do with something with that? And I was kind of going over it with my local train store person, and he's thinking maybe I just got a bad motor winding to where the protection circuit on the soundbox was very sensitive to that.
Hmm.
But it was weird. So the world I may never know whether it was just a bad motor in the particular Trainman I had, or if it's just a design the Trainman split chassis has going on.
I might have to
But
send you I'm curious now. My G15 sitting on my desk at work, little winter, like little mini module, but like once the winter time's over and I'm gonna throw something else there, I'll mail that to you just to see, press the
yeah,
test. Let's see what happens.
I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers it was just like a bad motor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But being that it wouldn't work with my sound box, I'm like, okay, this is a no-go, and I returned it.
Hmm.
So,
Cool.
But yeah, the Trainman stuff is a really good value in N scale,
Yes.
for sure.
Well, gents, we are right at an hour. So I think that's gonna wrap this one up tonight. Great conversation.
Mm-hmm. Some
Yeah.
really good topics from DC and DCC to the cost of the hobby, and some great topics in between.
Save
So.
big money at Menards.
Thank you for
Yeah,
inviting
we
me and
learned
getting me
Yeah.
we
to
learned
break
two
the
things
ice.
for people that don't. We learned two things. One, Menards makes model trains, and another, Kato has the sound box.
Bart,
And
what's
the
what's
DC
the big where
the
like
virtual one.
is it OBS? Is that the big like where, I don't know, warehouse, like go buy like lumber and stuff?
Hardware store.
Yeah, duh. I don't know. I don't know what the big one is. There's a couple.
Anyway, all right. Well, y'all, for those of you who are interested in finding out more about Jeff and what he does, El Jefe in scale, and we'll put that link at the end of this as well as in the show notes. He's got some really cool stuff. In particular, the I can't say the word, the reuse of the corpse of Percy, the tank engine is amazing with what he did, and like his desert scenes, especially the one that he did not show, the big mesa, is super impressive. And kind of watching how he did that is Jeff, that's probably one of my more favorite videos I've seen in the last year. But appreciate you coming on here and letting us pick your brain. And then for those of you all looking to find more on us, Model Train People, search that. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube will pop up. And then we're on most streaming platforms between Audible, Spotify, Apple, and our RSS feed. So we can like, share, and subscribe, and continue to send people our way. And we appreciate it. If you also want to shoot us an email, that is modeltrainpeople@gmail.com. And at some point, if we can get like people like writing in, we'll do like a Q&A or whatever, maybe towards the end of this season. But gents, Jeff, Bart, Dennis, Sam, I appreciate you guys taking time out of your Sunday. And Bart,
Always
stay
fun.
warm, man. I know you said that you guys were dealing with a lot of snow.
No, that was Belgium. We went to Belgium for holiday.
Okay. So
Oh,
you've
there you go.
escaped the snow now.
Easy, yeah.
You sent
Blame
it
it on
over
the
to Eddie and
Belgians.
I.
I was a bit worried, but there was some sun and no problems.
Thank God. All right.
Great to see you guys. Thank you so much for the invite and get me to break the ice with this sort of thing. I'm not great on camera, so
I did great,
appreciate
man.
thank you.
None of us are great on camera either, so it all works out. All right, y'all. Well, stay safe.